Hey everyone, my name is Tushar Jain and welcome to my channel. So in this video, I'll be talking about adapter design pattern. Then we will write code in Java to see how it works. So to understand what is adapter design pattern, let's first understand this problem statement. Let's say you have developed one stock market monitoring app, and to show the data on your application, you download the data from multiple sources in XML format, and your application is doing good. But let's say after some time you want to improve some functionalities in your application, and to do that you want to use some third party library. But the case in the third party library uses data input in JSON format and your data is totally in XML format. So you have to do something for that. Let's say first you decide to make changes into the source code of that library, but that is kind of tricky because that library kind of very big and you don't have not the exact knowledge of the entire source code. So you have to go through the entire source code and then you have to make changes. And in the worst case, there might be possible that you don't have the access to the source code, right? So you can't make changes to your library. So to handle such type of problem, when you have data in one format and then you want it into another format, not exactly the data, or let's say you have one type of object, you want to convert it into another type of object, something like that. You want two objects to interact with each other, but you don't have the right medium to do that. So to solve such kind of problem, we use adapter design pattern. So this is a special object that convert interface of one object so that another object can understand it, right? And adapter design pattern is not only used to convert the data, but it can also be used so that two different type of objects can collaborate. So how they do that? So it is in three steps. Like first, adapter implements an interface which is compatible with one of the existing object, right? So once it implements that interface, the existing object can make a call to the adapter, and upon receiving a call in the adapter, it can make a call to another object, but in the format that second object accepts. And this adapter is not like only the one way that we can only convert JSON to XML or XML to JSON. It can work in both ways. Like a single adapter can do the job of both, converting JSON to XML and XML to JSON. I know it might be a little confusing to understand what I'm saying. Just don't worry. We will just tap into the IDE and write code and understand how it works. So now let's write code for adapter design pattern. So I have created this simple client class which will be using the adapter pattern, and this is the third party library which we will be using. So we want to use this JSON library and our code accepts the data in XML format, right? So first let's create the figure class which will be creating the figure. Okay, and all the code is available on the GitHub and link is in the description box below. You can go and check out. So first what we will do, when we will create one more interface which is graph interface, which will help us to create the graph object, right? So in this figure we will create the reference to this graph interface, graph, and then we will create getter and setter for this. Getter and setter, what is getter and setter? Right. Now what we will do, we will initialize one method in this. So it will say generate graphs. Right. Now this figure class will make a call to this generate graph method. Let's see how. So we will simply say public void show graph. What is the name of the method in this get graphs? Okay, so we can keep the different name just to avoid the confusion, and it will call the graph, this graph, where is that? Yeah, this graph generate graph method. So it will say graph dot generate graph, right? So in the client, let's now we want to use this JSON graph. So we will create the object of the figure equals to new, wait, what is happening, new figure, right? And in the figure we have, what is the name, show graph, figure dot show graph. But right now we have not initialized this graph, not going to use the set graph method, so it will raise the exception. If we can see that it will give the null pointer exception. Yeah, it will give us a null pointer exception because we have not initialized or set this reference to the graph. And even we don't have any class as of now which implements this graph. So now we will create the main adapter class which will be implementing this graph interface. So we will create graph adapter, and this will implement the graph. So simply we will implement the method, right? And here we will create the object of this JSON graph equal to new JSON graphs. Something is wrong. Okay. So we will say JSON graphs dot get graphs. What is the issue? Maybe final. Let's make it final also. Okay. So now if I will just come to my client class and do this figure dot set graph is my adapter. So I have to create the object of the adapter first. Graphs adapter graph adapter equals to new graph adapter, and here I will say graph adapter. Okay, it will just okay. What is wrong? This is the graph. It is implemented by graph. Okay. Yeah. So it is just the typo. So graph adapter. Now if I will run this class, it's undefined 3D graphs using JSON file format. But you might be confused at what is the use of this adapter class. Now let's just see. Let's say I will provide this string here, XML, which is give us the error right now, and I'll create one, what we shall call it, this data member. We will say public string file, and we will say fig constructor string file this dot file equals to file. Okay, and now in the show graph method we need this file. So I will say file. Okay, now our generate graph do not accept anything, so we will say string file. Now we have one more problem which we will be solving, this string file, and then this file we will pass it to this get graph in JSON graph method, and here we will say again string. I'm just modifying the code just to make you understand, but this won't happen in the real world. Let's just say what to say, this and this. We will just 1 minute, I'll make you understand, and we will say file. Okay, so here what we are passing is XML. Let's say we are passing the XML file format. It goes to here and we passes it to the generate graphs, and the generate graphs, it's make a call to this graph adapter. Here we will write a code for the conversion and then make a call to the third-party library which accept the code in the accept the input in the JSON format. So here I will just modify my file from XML to JSON. So simply here I can do that. I will say JSON. Okay, so this is simply I'm using the strings and s out just to make you understand the basic functionality, but this is how you can do. You can write any logic here to convert your XML to JSON, which the problem statement we have discussed, and the other use cases where you can use the adapter design pattern. Now if I, let's say, now here I am passing the XML, and still if I run this, the output will say 3D graphs using JSON file format, right? So this is how adapter design pattern works It just basically convert one format into another format, or we can say it makes two different objects compatible with one another using the interface. Or in the real world analogy, you can also compare it with the basic charging things. Like, let's say you have a laptop charger, Indian laptop charger, but when you go to US, you need a adapter which convert your Indian style plug to US style plug. So that adapter is the same thing is happening. The adapter design pattern, it do the same thing. It can make two objects compatible with each other. So I hope you like the video and you understand what is adapter design pattern. And if you have any doubt, you can comment down below in the comment section. I will answer all of your questions. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.